Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Corb, I'm here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. So great to be with you each and every morning, Monday through Friday at 10:45 to make sure you have the message, the action, and the tools to be empowered. A couple of events happening around the state that I want to highlight tonight. SD 39 hosts an all candidates campaign kickoff in the North Metro. It's going to be at 6 p.m. It's going to be a great event. I encourage you to get there if you can. Tonight in Hackensack, there's a Neighbors Talking with Neighbors event at 6 p.m. You can always sign up for a DFL event and keep kicking off the general election with us this week. It's time to take this momentum, and turn it into the largest defeat of the sitting president in the history of Minnesota midterms. You can go to dfl.org/events and get out to an event, bring somebody new, introduce them to the DFL if you can. All right, let's get into this week's message memo. I'm joined once again by Asha Carroll, our Senior Director of Communications Research and Data. Asha, welcome back to the call. Tell us about the message this week.
Good morning, Richard. Let's hop in. So we're going to kick things off once again by dropping this week's message memo in the chat for you all so that you can follow along. Reminder, please download this or print it out so you can use it as a reference in your communications this week and beyond. This is our general election narrative. I want to stress this. We kicked it off last Wednesday. Jim and I took you through it last Friday. And if some things feel familiar, it's because they are. We're going to keep beating this drum and building it out all the way to Election Day. So this week's message, you'll recognize part of it. It's Minnesota Strong. We're with you. They're with Trump. And so we're including talking points that we're going to get into right now that demonstrate our momentum from last week's primary election. And we're also doing a deeper dive today on Republican weakness. Now, make sure to pay special attention to these. Minnesotans are showing up and DFLers are leading the way. More than 1.1 million Minnesotans voted in Tuesday's primary election, the most in Minnesota primary history, and roughly 63% of those were DFL voters. Amy Klobuchar and Peggy Flanagan each received more votes than the total Republican turnout in their respective races. These were huge gains. And we are taking this historic strength straight into November. Across our campaigns, the DFL has knocked nearly 1 million doors. That's the number that we want you to get out there. 1 million doors, okay, this cycle, including 65,000 in the weekend, those 4 days that led up to the primary. Every DFL endorsed candidate won their primary, every single one. And we have a candidate running for every House and Senate district in Minnesota. Now, let's contrast. Only 2 GOP-endorsed candidates at the top of the ticket won. That shows their weakness. So we're going to build on our DFL strength to win in November.
And obviously, we also talk a lot about what we're fighting for, right, Asha? But I want to highlight something that you just did for the whole group, and I want to make sure that people on the call understand that we're being very intentional about this. Asha started out with the message, Minnesota Strong. We're with you. They're with Trump. Minnesota Strong. We talk about Democrats being strong, and then Asha explained why Republicans are weak. We want to actually begin to cement this narrative in Minnesota politics that DFLers in this state are in a strong position to win in November, and Republicans are in a weak position. They're divided. They're in disarray. Republicans are fighting amongst themselves. In fact, even some of their endorsed candidates who lost, some of their candidates who lost the primary refused to concede. But in addition to that, obviously, as Democrats, we still fight for things. And what we're fighting for is to lower costs and help build futures for Minnesota families. That means bringing down the cost of your healthcare, helping you afford your first home, and expanding your opportunities. Senator Klobuchar, who is running for governor and leading the top of the ticket, has plans for all of these things. And then let's talk about what they're fighting for, what Republicans are fighting for. Republicans are driving up prices by rubber stamping Trump's agenda. Their tariffs are losing you money. Their healthcare cuts are driving up the cost of your care, and their war of choice in Iran is making your gas and groceries more expensive than ever. Their choices continue to raise your costs and lose you money, and they'll keep increasing your losses every single day.
Richard mentioned Republican weakness, and this is one more piece that we need to keep driving home right now. You're going to hear some great examples of their weakness in action. When things get tough, Republicans hide and they leave you to deal with the consequences. Trump ran away from Air Force One in a catering truck. That is 100% true. That is what he did. And we're going to share links to you all for these in case you missed them in the news. These are shining examples of the Republican weakness that Richard mentioned.
Asha,
Next.
Asha, can I just
Yes.
say,
Oh, please.
I have no problem with Taylor Swift sneaking around in catering carts in order to surprise her concert goers in really fun and exciting ways. But just think about this for a second. The President of the United States snuck away from Air Force One in a he in a catering truck. He abandoned his staff, press who are on board the plane. They all went on thinking that the President of the United States was with them. But no, he actually ran away.
That's right. He ran away and he left them behind. And that's exactly what he's doing to Minnesotans. Here's the next one. MNGOP Senate nominee Michelle Tafoya admitted that she is, and I quote, embarrassed to tell people that she is from Minnesota. We've got a clip. We're going to share it out right now. We're going to link to it. You can see this. It was on Yahoo News. It made its rounds on the internet and certainly on social media, and with good reason. People need to hear this, okay? She is embarrassed to tell people she's from Minnesota, and she is running to represent our state in the U.S. Senate. That is the best that the GOP could do for a nominee for U.S. Senate. And that's what we're up against. There was a fun viral moment that I saw on social media this weekend. Maybe some of you did it as well. People are out there and they're mad about this. And they're talking about just how un-Minnesotan Michelle Tafoya is. And so search Michelle Tafoya un-Minnesotan. Take a look at this. We don't even look. The people are out there doing the work. There is no shortage of examples. And people are having some fun with it, which we are certainly allowed to do. Final one, Tom Emmer bragged that Minnesotans should thank Trump for Operation Metro Surge after federal agents attacked our communities. He went so far, I just want to say this. He said that this is what he's hearing. He said all these Minnesotans are thanking Trump. You remember how this went during Operation Metro Surge, and you saw the numbers. We were sharing from the polls. This was a hugely unpopular attack on our state. And Tom Emmer's good with it, and he thinks that you're good with it. He says that you should be thanking Trump. So that to me sounds like weakness. So Republicans, they run and they hide from the consequences. They insult our beautiful state, and they leave people behind.
That's right. So here's the choice. The choice is absolutely clear. Democrats will lower your costs and fight alongside you for the future. Democrats will restore, repair, and rebuild what Republicans have damaged. Democrats are with you, and Republicans, they're with Trump. If they win, we will all lose.
Let's talk about the kind of leaders that you all deserve, okay? Democrats. Democrats don't look away. We look to each other and we get to work for Minnesotans. That is what makes us Minnesota strong. And that is the title of this message, Minnesota Strong. I'm going to say that again. We do not look away. We look to each other and we get to work for Minnesotans. The proof is in the pudding there. Nearly 2/3 of the more than 1 million Minnesota voters chose our DFL candidates. I'm going to say that one again too. Nearly 2/3. Nearly 2/3 of more than 1 million Minnesota voters who turned out for last week's primary chose our candidates, our DFLers. And we will protect you from losing even more than what Republicans have already cost you. You deserve leaders who show up, get results, and solve problems. And we are focused on strengthening communities and building an economy where your hard work pays off. We believe government should be more effective, be accountable to you, and leave you better off.
That's right. Thank you so much, Asha, for being here. Thank you for sharing the memo with us.
You got it, Richard. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's turn this message into action. First, introduce the general election narrative to your local unit. I hope you talk about it in your local party unit meetings. Talk about how we're trying to create this contrast, the strong Democratic Party in Minnesota versus the weak Republican Party. That every time Republicans like Donald Trump and Michelle Tafoya have a chance to stand for citizens, they run from us. When times get tough, Democrats look to one another and say, how can we help? How can we get through this moment together? That's really the contrast we want to drive home between now and November 3rd of this year. Email it to your list or put it out in copies for your next meeting. Share it with your fellow activists, what you learned here today. Again, we link to it one more time in the comments as well. Then sign up for one event with our coordinated campaign. We are working hard 7 days a week to make sure that we are talking to voters, listening to voters at their door, and making as many connections as possible so that we can build trust with these voters. Ultimately, that trust will lead to them voting for our DFL candidates come November 3rd of this year. And November 3rd is just 78 days away. The clock is ticking. We have 78 days until the November 3rd midterm election. We're building this operation together. This massive coalition is going to deliver the largest electoral defeat of a sitting president because you are a part of it. Please invite somebody to join us tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow for the DFL Daily. Let's go win this thing. Thanks, everybody.